Hello my scholars, welcome to my school channel. My name is Alexandra, and in this video we're going to be solving the English JAMB past question for the year 2006. So stay with us, don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. Welcome to my school channel. In this video we're going to be tackling question 81 to 100. Now before we proceed to question 81 to 100, 81 to 85 comes with a comprehension passage, and I'll advise you click on the link in the description below, which takes you to the My School website. There you have access to the passage. Make sure you read carefully and understand it, or you could pause this video as it is being displayed on the screen. Make sure you read and understand the passage. So moving on to question 81. From the last paragraph, it can be concluded that A, the effect of women's liberation are felt only at home and at work. Now, this is not the answer because according to the passage, it is felt at home, at work, and in politics. Okay, so option B, the women's liberation movement has brought untold hardship on many Nigerian men. No, this was not stated in the passage. Option C, the liberation movement is women's reaction to men's action. Now, this is the answer to this question. In the last paragraph, we see that generally the passage talks about the independence and recognition of women and how women are beginning to acquire independence at home, independence at work, even in governance. Okay, so some men, according to the last paragraph, some men may not be happy about these changes, but women are quick to point out that it is because of the conditions placed by men, and so women are beginning to react to those conditions. What are those conditions? For example, women should remain at home. Women should attend to chores at home. Women cannot do this, cannot partake in governance and all of that. And so women are beginning to see potentials in themselves, and they are beginning to correct that impression that no, we can do this, we can do this, we can become whatever we want to be and still be good and still take care of our homes. Okay, so women are beginning to change in all sphere of life, and that is women's reaction to men's action. So option C is the final answer to this question. However, let's take a look at option D. Nigerian men are opposed to the women liberation movement. Now, it does not say Nigerian men. It said some Nigerian men may not like the changes. Okay, so to say Nigerian men, it is not clear whether it's all or some. Okay, so Nigerian men are opposed or against the women liberation. Okay, so option C is the final answer to this question. Question 82. One of the arguments in support of women's liberation movement is that it's dash. Option A brings improvement at home, at work, and in politics. Now, it was not stated if it brings improvements. Okay, we only know that women are beginning to acquire independence at home, at work, and in politics. Okay. Option B compels men to take over the tasks of cooking, cleaning, and other household chores. Okay, so this was not stated in the passage. Option C encourages Nigerian women to eke out a living independent of the man. So eke out will mean survive, to be able to survive by themselves without thinking of a man or relying or depending on a man. So they are independent of the men in the society. So this was not stated in the passage. So let's take a look at the last option. Enables more women to attain higher position. Now, very well, this option is in the passage. It was stated that women are beginning to advance in their careers in attaining higher management positions, and there's a record that every year women are beginning to acquire higher positions in the nation's higher institution. There are more doctors, there are more records of doctors, female lawyers, female ministers, and so on and so forth. So option D is the final answer to this question. Question 83. Which of the following statement is true according to the passage? Option A, the Nigerian society is now free of all discrimination against women. Now, that's not true. Even from the last paragraph, we see that some men may not be happy with these changes. So there's still discrimination. Okay. Option B, the quest for women's liberation appears to be making progress in Nigeria. This is definitely the answer to the question, because we see that the passage is in the context of Nigeria, and we see that this is a progressive movement. Okay. Let's take a look at option C. The majority of Nigerian women have now taken over men's traditional role. This is not true according to the passage. Option D. Women in Nigeria have now established a ministry called Ministry of Women Affairs. This is also not true. It was not stated in the passage. So we'll definitely stick with option B as the final answer to this question. Question 84. The expression causing sweeping changes as used in the passage means dash. Causing sweeping changes was used in the last paragraph, okay, and it means extreme changes, okay, far-reaching changes. And in context, it says women in Nigeria are acquiring independence, which is causing sweeping changes in the society, okay, so extreme, far-reaching. Option A, improving husband-wife relationship, no. Option B, cleaning up the Nigerian society, no. Option C, producing far-reaching effects, definitely option C is the answer to this question, resulting in unpalatable consequences. Option C is the best answer to this question. Question 85. Which of the following captures the vision of the writer in the future of Nigerian women? Okay, so option A, Nigerian higher institutions can produce more women doctors, lawyers, and accountants than men. Okay, so this does not capture the writer's vision. Okay, option B, it is possible for Nigerian women to attain equal status with men. Okay, so this also does not suggest that. Option C, Nigerians will never accept a woman president for their country. Okay, so this also does not capture the writer's vision. Now, let's take a look at option D. If the present trend is not checked, Nigerian women would take over the roles of the men. Now, how is this the answer? Now, if you read the passage, we get a glimpse of the Nigerian women's vision. Their vision is to acquire the freedom to pursue their own interests, to pursue interests outside their home. They no longer want to be housewife or do regular house chores. They want to do more. And so the writer is telling us that this is women's vision. They want more than what they are currently doing. And if it is not checked, they will take over everything. All the supposed role for others men have acquired will be taken over by the women. So option D is the final answer to this question. Question 86 to 90 comes with another passage, so I advise you repeat the process. Click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you will find the passage, read the passage carefully, or you could pause this video as it is being displayed. Do not forget that the aim is to read carefully and understand the passage. Now moving on to question 86. Which of the following statement is true according to the passage? Option A, rural work opportunities could reduce urban unemployment. Option B, providing work opportunities in the rural areas will lead to low productivity, illiteracy, and poverty. Option C, urban workplaces are responsible for rural poverty and misery. Option D, urban workplaces absorb rural/urban migrants. Okay, so the answer to this question is option A. Now, if you've read the passage, you get an idea of what the passage is all about. It talks about people in the rural area who do not have jobs, and so they cannot even work their way out of poverty and misery. And what do? They migrate to the urban areas, and in their course of migration, they consume resources. And funny enough, because of unemployment in the rural area, there's definitely going to be unemployment in the urban areas, because these moving people are migrating in mass to the urban areas, trying to occupy and fend for themselves. And when they don't get enough job, they start resolving to theft, to criminal acts, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the passage points us to the fact that unemployment in rural areas would result in unemployment in the urban areas too. Okay, and if there's employment in the rural areas, there's definitely going to be employment in the urban areas, and that is how it works, because one has an effect on the other. Okay, so both places are going to be affected by whatever unemployment status is evident in that vicinity. So if it is a positive one, it's also going to affect the other area, and if it's a negative one, it is also going to affect the other areas. Okay, so option A captures this. It tells us that rural work employment could reduce urban unemployment. So this is kind of tricky. So this tells us that when there's work opportunities in the rural area, there's going to be a reduction in unemployment rate in urban areas. And so if there's no work employment in the rural areas, it's also going to increase the unemployment rate in the urban areas. So option A is the final answer to this question. Question 87. In the first sentence of the passage, the word work used differently can be explained as option A, employment and ensure, option B, industrial and earn, option C, career and prepare, option D, job and struggle. Now, the word appeared 2 times in a sentence in the first paragraph. Okay, so I'm trying to rephrase this. There are no work opportunities, and so they cannot work their way out of poverty and misery. Okay, so work opportunity, the word work there, if used differently, would mean job opportunity. And so they cannot work their way, means struggle. They cannot struggle out of the poverty and the misery. Okay, so option D is clearly the answer to the question. Do not forget that you can take practice questions with our simulated JAMB CBT past questions. All you need to do is you click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you have to download the Myschool mobile app for your Android phones and the Myschool software for your computers and laptops. Please go ahead and download and start practicing for your upcoming examinations. Now, moving on to question 88, the writer describes the features of a cottage industry. Yes, we can find this in the last paragraph, the use of the term cottage industry, and we can see according to the passage is a term that is used to describe the 4 requirements that should be created in order to maximize work opportunities for rural dwellers or the rural people. Okay, and that includes 1, should be created in a rural area, 2, production should be made simple, 3, local materials for local use, and 4, affordable workplace, affordable products. Okay, so let's take a look at the options. We can see that we can find this in option D, rural location, simplicity, local sources of raw materials, and lastly, affordability of products. So option D is the final answer to this question. I believe you're enjoying this content. If yes, do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly, tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next video. Question 89. The expression mutual poisoning as used in the passage suggests that dash. Option A, rural and urban areas complement each other. Option B, migration can make urban and rural people sick. Option C, rural people violate urban hygiene. Option D, migration negates effective urban and rural life. The answer to this question is definitely D. Now, mutual means something experienced by 2 or more parties involved. Now, we talked about the fact that once people start migrating from the rural areas to the urban areas, it also affects their employment status. It also affects the urban areas' employment status. So unemployment in rural areas equals to unemployment in urban areas, because once there's a migration, it affects the new area that they are located to. And so migration does not validate effective urban and rural life. So it negates it. It does not validate it. It nullifies it. So option D is the best answer to this question. Question 90. The expression as capital is the product of human work seems to support the argument that dash. Option A, rural dwellers who move to urban cities often overcome poverty. Option B, urban areas will continue to experience overcrowding as long as workplaces are concentrated there. Option C, urban productivity is affected by mass migration from the rural areas. Option D, rural people are poor because they lack work opportunities to fight back poverty. The answer to this question is clearly option A. Now, in the passage, as capital is a product of human work, rural dwellers will leave their areas to search for greener pastures in the cities. Now, what does this expression as capital is a product of human work? Now, when you work, that is when you can earn enough money for yourself to start up something or to just possess something of your own. That's when you work, and that is why it says as capital. Capital is definitely the product of human work. Okay, so because capital is the product of human work, they want to be able to raise that capital for themselves, and so they leave their homes in search of a greener pasture in the city. And so it supports the fact that rural dwellers who move to the urban cities often overcome poverty. So in a bid to overcome poverty, to overcome that misery, they leave the rural areas to the urban city. So the answer to this question is definitely option A. Question 91 to 100 comes with another passage, which is the register. Please kindly repeat the process by clicking on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you'll find the passage, read the passage and understand what it's all about. Or you can pause this video as it is being displayed on the screen. Please make sure you take your time to read the passage, even with the blank spaces, okay, and get what the passage is trying to tell us. Now, moving on to question 91. In question number 16, choose the best option from the letters A to D that best completes the gap. So we need to complete the gap in the part label 16. Now, if you've read the passage, you see it talks about the spelling system of the English language. And the part label 16 talks about the fact that there is always lack of similarity between the pronunciation of the word and the spelling of that same word, right? And that's what the best word that can fill that gap is discrepancy. What is discrepancy? A discrepancy is the lack of similarity between two facts or two items. Okay, so option A is definitely the correct answer to this question. When we talk about discord is disagreement, which does not apply in this context, as well as concord or a similarity. There is no similarity between the pronunciation of a word and the spelling of a word in the English language or the spelling system of the English language. So definitely option A, a discrepancy, is the final answer to this question. Question 92. So we are meant to fill the gap label 17, and according to the context, it states one cannot tell how to spell a word dash its pronunciation. So it's a proposition that should fill in that part, and it should be by. So one cannot tell how to spell a word by its pronunciation. Okay, so definitely option B is the correct answer to this question. Question 93. So we are meant to fill the gap labeled 18. Okay, and the answer to this question is system. The English spelling is a spelling system. It's not a confusion, it's not a difficulty, it's not a code, it's just a system. A system in the sense that it has a procedure, a process. Okay, so option C is the final answer to this question. Question 94. So we need to fill the gap label 19, but we can't fill the part label 19 without reading the sentence before it. So you need to know what the sentence before it is talking about to be able to fill in the gap label 19 appropriately. So what does the sentence before it talks about? It talks about the fact that English was originally spoken by people who could not read or write. Okay, so people who could not read or write are called the uneducated or the illiterate. So let's look for that. We can find that in option D, the uneducated. So option D, the final answer to this question. Question 95. So in this part, we are supposed to fill in the gap labeled 20. And the answer to this question is option A, literary. At a point, English language became a literary language. The reason why literary is much more appropriate is because literary covers the written form, the study of the language, and in the context of literature itself. And literature is as old as man. Anything that has to do with literature is as old as man itself. So it embodies both written form, it embodies the study of it, it embodies all of the formality of a language, and so literary is the best answer to this question. So option A is the final answer to this question. Question 96. So we are meant to fill in the part label 21. Now if you read that context, it talks about the fact that French-speaking orators decided to start writing English language, and they were not too good with English language. So French-speaking orators meaning experts, professionals, they are skilled public speakers, and so orator is the best answer to this question. Question 97. So we are meant to fill in the gap label 22, and this context, according to the passage, talks about the fact that French speakers, in a bid to write in English, they carry all of the French mannerism. Mannerism is a way of speaking. Mannerism is used in the context of speaking or behaving. Okay, so it is appropriate. So they carry many French mannerism to the English language. Idiosyncrasies talk about peculiarity or individuality. So in this context, we see that mannerism appeals better, and so option D is the final answer to this question. Do you have questions you would like to ask? You can go ahead and ask your question by using the link provided in the description below. All you need to do is click on the link in the description below. It takes you to the Myschool website. There you can ask as many questions as possible, and solutions will be provided to you within a short period of time. Now moving on to question 98. We are meant to fill in the gap label 23, and in the context of the passage, we see that it talks about the fact that not only do they carry the French spelling mannerism into English, they also insert letters. When you insert, you put letters into words, into the English words. So option A is the final answer to this question. Do you have better explanations, steps, or solutions to any of these questions? Please feel free to share with us. Indicate the question and the solutions you would like to share in the comment section below. Question 99. So we are meant to fill in the gap labeled 24, and according to the context, the answer to this question is option C, corresponding. So they insert letters into certain English words, even though those letters are not pronounced in the word, and they do that because the corresponding word in Latin is spelled that way, and so they put those letters in the English corresponding words. Okay, so if certain word is spelled in Latin in a particular way and that word exists in French in another way, they put letters or pull out letters from the Latin language to the English corresponding word. Okay, so the answer to this question is option C, corresponding. Question 100. Now we are meant to fill in the gap labeled 25, and according to the context of the passage, we see that there's a confusion, and so the confusion increased when the pronunciation of certain words changes, but then the spelling differs or are different. So the answer to this question is option D. So the passage talks about the discrepancy between the spelling system and the pronunciation, and we see a lot of discrepancy with the spelling system not corresponding with the pronunciation of that actual word, and the confusion increases when the pronunciation changes but then the spelling is the same. For example, the word bow and bow, that's the same spelling but the pronunciation is different. So that is the peak of the confusion with the spelling system and the pronunciation of words in English language. So the answer to this question is option D, pronunciation. We've come to the end of this section. I believe it was impactful. Thank you for joining us. Do not forget to hit the like button, click on the subscribe button, and lastly tap on the bell notification to get informed as soon as we release the next video.